All right, now we're live, right? Can you hear me?
Yep, we're live. Welcome, YouTube.
Fantastic. Boom! I'm back, baby. We're here. We're ready to work. So, ladies and gentlemen, just so you guys know, quick little introduction because it's going to be the first episode to a long series that me and Bobby are about to do. So, the Gentleman's Code live stream is essentially going to be a place where myself and Bobby are going to discuss the code for being a gentleman, what it means to be a man, what you should strive to do, how you should act, how you should maneuver, how you should conduct yourself, whether it's in business, with women, with your life day to day, with your family, etc. And basically teach people everything that we know that's made us successful and made us competent in the world of just being a man, right? And I feel like as two men, we'd probably be pretty qualified to do so. But yeah, I think the other thing people want to really pay attention to is tune in every single week and see how long it takes us to get sent to jail for telling people what it's like to be a traditional man, because that seems to be the theme nowadays. But
For
yeah,
sure.
Bobby, my man, good to see you. Let's get it rocking. Let's let the people know what it
Yeah,
is.
good to see you. Good morning, YouTube. It's happy to be here. This is where we're going to be going live for now for the foreseeable future is YouTube. As of now, 8 o'clock on Thursdays is the date, but subject to changes. You never know what comes up. But yeah, I think this is a good opportunity for people just to maybe get a look behind the curtain of what me and you are actually like. A lot of people see the stuff we put out content wise and all the work we do, but I feel like a lot of people don't even get to hear us talk like in this setting unless they're in the Taylor's Code calls that we do each week. But even in those settings, it's we're mostly talking out, different things we're doing, we're working on, how we're helping students, things like that. This is going to be more of a conversation between me and you, talking through things we like, things we don't like, things we're working on and other things like that. But I feel like in a setting like this, it's very, more personal. People could really understand what me and you are like as people.
Right, exactly. Because if you just go to the Instagram page or to the Taylor's Code, you might not necessarily understand, why we think the way that we do, or why we post the things that we do, etc. It's a different persona that you see online, right? So obviously, we
For
want to just
sure.
be real with people and just let them know, well, this is what it is that I know how to do at a high level. I'm gonna try to teach you as much as I possibly can, and then what you're able to get out of that, take it, great, good, not good, etc. Take what you will with you. So yeah, I mean, just in the sense of what we're doing today for the first thing, let's just talk about a little bit of what we got going on with the Taylor's Code, what we're trying to do with the community, because you know, the Taylor's Code community, the whole reason that we came together to do something like this was myself personally, and I know probably for you for to a degree, there was never a place for me to go where I could just get mentorship from people who were doing the things that I wanted to do in business and making money and living the lifestyle that they had, for me to just learn from them, right? Because right now, the way that society is constructed is you go to college and you get a 4 year degree to get a piece of paper that's going to get you a job that supposedly is going to make you all this money over the next 30, 40 years until you retire. When in reality, we know that's not actually the ideal scenario for most people, right?
Yeah.
And the only way that I actually ever started making a lot of money was when I finally got lucky enough to get into a position where I got a mentor who was doing the things that I wanted to do and was in business, who could actually teach me then how to make that money, right? But if you
For
can't
sure.
find that mentor, if you can't find that environment, that opportunity that's going to allow you to grow in that way, you're never going to get out of that, rat race that we call it, right? So, yeah, just, talk a little bit about what we got going on with the Taylor's Code, what you're doing in there, and what the idea is in terms of growing it that we have.
Yeah, for sure. I think that you hit the nail on the head. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get involved and why I wanted to just, have a space where I could speak. And if people agreed with me and they follow along, that's great. They could come on and join like what I'm doing. If not, I could put things out there that I don't understand that somebody else understands. I've learned even a lot from you about crypto and other things and sales. I was never in sales or anything, but just from meeting people and talking to people within the Taylor's Code, I was able to learn things that even I wasn't good at, which is what I really wanted from a community like that. Having a space where you could bounce ideas off of people and that you could learn new things is that's what we go to college for. That is like, what else do you go to college for if you're not trying to learn things and meet new people? I mean, that's what college is. That's what we did. So yeah, I think it's a modern day university. I mean, I work my job online. People work from online all day. You work online, so it's like we're already online, and you might as well just tap into the resource. There's people in there talking, giving juice. We have people that are working now making money, just because we were able to lay out a foundation, and people are following, the foundation we laid to be able to make money. So yeah, I specialize in the e-commerce side of the Taylor's Code. I built a couple online brands that I was able to scale up to a couple $1,000s a month. So it's been good side income for me to be able to invest in crypto and things like that and reinvest into these other businesses. But where I really see it going is that teaching aspect. That's where I really want the Taylor's Code to go, and I want to be that guy, that resource that people reach out to. But hey, I don't know how to do this, or I want to learn this, and then me being able to teach them or hand it off to someone else who could teach them. So I think it's a great environment for any young person who really doesn't have a path yet, that doesn't necessarily want to go to college, but wants to meet people and wants to learn high income skills. And that's something that we talk about all the time, is that the marketplace is derived from what you can provide to the marketplace. It's not, oh, I'm going to go get a job and whatever they pay me, they pay me. Well, if you learn all these skills and you really make yourself better, the market's going to pay you whatever you're worth, whether that's in e-commerce or whether that's in sales. Whatever skills you put into yourself, you're going to get that money back in return. And I think that's where a lot of people get lost, is that like, oh, I went to college for 4 or 5 years and I got a degree in communications. Well, it's like, okay, so did 50,000 other people that year all around the United States. So it's like you're competing for a pretty, maybe a good job, maybe not a good job, but at the end of the day, you got to continue that education. Okay, you got a communication degree. What else are you doing to stand out to news networks or, Sports Illustrated, wherever you want to be in journaling? So I think furthering your education is key no matter what you're
Right.
doing in life. And I think it starts, young. If you want to, start as a teenager and learn high income skills, that's the best way to do it.
And the thing you were saying about college just made me think of an incredible point where people don't realize this, but college is suffering from multiple different types of inflation every single year too, right? So every single year it's becoming more expensive to go to college, right? They're raising the prices for it. Then there's normal inflation itself of the dollar, the US dollar, so it's getting more expensive in that sense. And the actual degrees that you're just talking about, every single year there's 50,000 people graduating with your degree. So every single year that goes by, your degree becomes less and less and less valuable, yet you're paying more and more and more money for it every single year. So it doesn't even make sense from a monetary investment perspective. Like, it's just way too expensive for people to just go try something out at college just to, because that's what everybody does, and that's what people
Yeah.
get sold on. That's how they get basically fucked over into getting these massive loans. A lot of people to get these degrees that they weren't even, number one, going to use in the first place, and number two, aren't ever going to put them in a position to be able to pay back those loans in a timely fashion, where they just become shackled to their debt for the next 30, 40, 50 years. You hear these horror stories about people's in their 40s and 50s still paying back their student loans. Those are people from 30 years ago. Think about how long it's going to take the people going to college right now to pay back those loans. They'll be paying them back till they die. They're never going to get the money.
Yeah. So as you know, I have a little sister who's just starting out in college. I know you have younger siblings as well, and that was a long conversation we had to have. Was, is it worth it? Because she did her first 2 semesters go to this private expensive school outside of Philadelphia, and then after the year, she's like, I honestly, she's like, it's not worth it. She said that to me. She's like, for what I'm paying there, what I'm getting, and the school is a small private school, so there's not like what we had with partying and going out and all these extracurricular activities. It was just a small school where they just studied, and they went to like a basketball game in a high school gymnasium for fun. So what she ended up doing was, now she is on, I don't know if you ever heard of it, it's called Southern New Hampshire University. It's an online university. It's only $3,000 a semester. So she'll be able to get her 4 year degree in what she wanted to go to school for, which is a business health administration. So kind of like the business side of a hospital. And she's going to be able to get her degree for like $20,000, as opposed to going to this private school for 25,000 a year. She's going to drastically cut her cost into a fourth, which I was fully on board of. And now she has the opportunity to go to school remotely. I live in Florida. She wants to come down whenever. Now she doesn't have to take time away from school. She could just do it online. So I thought that was a great idea for her. and that was around the same time that we started the Taylor's Code. So it was just like, a good thing that really got my brain going about online schooling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny you had that conversation with your sister because the same thing happened with my younger siblings, like you were talking about, where I went to college. My sister went to college. We paid the full, state university. What is it, $15,000, $20,000 a semester? Ridiculous, right? Or a year. And when it came time for my youngest brothers to actually start deciding, okay, are we going to go to university? What are we going to study, etc.? It just came down to the same thing. It was just, well, you shouldn't. You should just not go at all, or at least go to a community college while you're trying to figure out
Hmm.
what you want to do. Because believe in me, if you don't know what you want to do right now, you don't want to spend $20,000 a year trying to figure it out. Okay, putting yourself in that kind of debt, it doesn't make any
That's
sense.
truth.
And so that's what happened. They just didn't even apply to these state universities because it just wasn't even worth it. And that's just a couple years removed, right? You being the oldest sibling, directing your sister down that type of route. Same thing with me and my brothers. So that's the reality between you and me and our siblings. What do you think's happening across the rest of the country? Same exact conversations are happening, right?
And people that are probably not in as good as position as we were starting.
Right. Exactly. Even worse financial situations. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's insane. And that's why whenever I say, so when I was building the agency that I had for a while, and I was recruiting and developing people and trying to hire them into the insurance industry. And one of the biggest points I would always play off of was, well, what are you doing right now? Are you going to college? You working, et cetera, et cetera? And they would usually say, because it was younger guys, usually say, yeah, I'm in college right now. And this was one of my pitches to them whenever I was interviewing them and just recruiting them into the industry was, well, so, what are you studying in college right now? Oh, I'm studying finance. Oh, okay, cool. So I'm assuming you want to make money. You want to learn about money, right? Oh, yeah, man. I want to make money, etc. Okay, cool. So with finance, I mean, your professors, right? Any of them millionaires? Anybody own a bunch of big businesses? What are they teaching you? Oh, well, no, they're not. They're not rich. They're just professors. Oh, okay, I got you. So, and then, are you making any money while you're going to finance school, or are they paying you to be there or paying you to learn? Like, no, nothing. I'm actually paying to be there. I say, okay. Well, listen, I understand that you're doing what you're doing right now, but let me pitch you on something else. How about you come into this industry where you can make money right now, be making 10, 15, $20,000 a month, and be learning from somebody who has a multi-million dollar business, right? I mean, who do you think knows more about business? Me, somebody who runs $1 million business, or your professor who's getting paid a salary that's never ran a business in their life? Oh, well, I mean, probably
Yeah.
you. I said, okay, yeah. So what do you want to do then, right? Because it's just logical. Like you're learning from people who don't know what they're doing out of a textbook, but they've been sold on this is the best route for you. So they're willing to dish out all this cash because you've been conditioned to think about this is the right thing to do. But then you turn around and you say to somebody, okay, how about you pay $15 a month to get a better education, to make money right now? They think to themselves, well, I don't know. Okay, but you'll take out a
Scary.
a 5, 6, 7% interest loan on $100,000 to go to college for a piece of paper that
Yeah.
for something you don't even want to do. Does it make sense?
Yeah, and on the side of the professors, a lot of the goofies we had teaching us, at least, was probably they probably did, graduated college, went and did their couple years of service, and either A, they got really frustrated with the 9 to 5 route and they didn't like that job path. And they're like, all right, well, I'm going to become a teacher and teach this stuff that I've learned, which is okay. I mean, but like you said, they've never reached that pinnacle of like what a lot of young students want to be. A lot of young students want to be the best, and they want to be CEOs of companies. They want to do all these things, but the people they're learning from have never reached that. So it's what is that saying you say, the top lid or something, you could only, what is the saying?
Yeah, that's as you were saying that. That's exactly what I was thinking in my mind. Was that I go? That's the law of the lid. It's the law of the lid.
The law of the lid.
So for people who don't know what that is, John Maxwell, he's the godfather of leadership, and he writes this book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And the first law of leadership he talks about, and I understand why it's the first law because I believe it's the most important, is the law of the lid. So the law of the lid is essentially saying your leadership, the person that's mentoring you, they can only take you as far as they've gone. Okay. So how do you expect a professor to show up to a classroom who's never made $1 million in their lifetime, right? To then teach you how to all of a sudden become this multimillionaire. It's the law of the lid. They're going to only ever be able to teach you how to make 80, 100, 120, $150,000 a year, which is what is just normal, right? That's
Yeah.
the law of the lid. That's what they know.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a shit ton of money in real estate, well, guess what? You better find somebody who's making a shit ton of money in real estate. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to teach you how to do anything, right?
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very important piece that people need to understand whenever they want to invest in an education. Now it's different when you're going to like a Harvard or an MIT. You know, those professors, they're top of the line. That's the best in the world. And I'm not saying that America has bad education, because it doesn't, but you got to understand what you're getting yourself into beforehand. And a lot of people don't do that at all. You know, there's the top, the top students who are going to graduate, from their high school with 4.0 GPAs, and they could go wherever they want and they'll be fine regardless. But that other 90% of people, it's like, where do they fall? Where they're not going to have the 1% jobs out of school. They're probably going to be a mechanic, or they're going to work, for a gardening company, or so those are, if you want to make good money, you got to understand business. You got to understand, okay, if I do go to be a plumber, how am I doing plumbing in a $10 million house as opposed to $100,000 shithole down the street? I want to be doing plumbing for mansions on the bay, and I wanted to be doing mansions. Like, so that's where you got to separate yourself from other people, is you don't want to just be average Joe Schmo plumber. You want to be the best plumber, no matter what you're doing. You could be a mechanic. You'd rather be a mechanic on a Ferrari and Lamborghini as opposed to a beat down Honda Civic. So wherever you go, you got to understand that there's education out there to better yourself, no matter what field you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got to be a student for your entire lifetime. I was just talking about this with, it was one of my buddies over the last weekend, and I was just joking. Like, we saw these guys that we knew when we were younger, but now at our age, 26, 27, look terrible, doing the same thing they've been doing for the last 10 years, out of shape, not making money, not doing well, right? And I said to him, I go, isn't that insane how some people's lives, you hear about, people say this, oh, he peaked in high school, they peaked in high school. And that's a real thing, where people literally hit their pinnacle of their lifetime in high school, and then after high school, after college, they stop working out, they stop playing sports, they stop learning things, they stop making money, they just become this corpse that's just going through life. And I think about how sad that is, because
It's
me,
very sad.
yeah, it's like, dude, in high school you're cruising, right? You're getting good grades, you're working out, you're playing sports, you're this person that looks like they got all this potential to have a fantastic life. But then outside of high school, outside of college, you just stop doing the things that made you special. And it's so sad because for me, for you, all I've ever done was continue to do this. It's just ascend, get better looking, better fashion, better clothes, make more money, become more successful, become more respected, have more women. Like, everything just has gotten better. So, but that's because I'm a lifelong student, because I continue to work on the things that I need to work on. Like, I've been working out since I've been 14 years old. I didn't say after 4 years of working out since I was 14, boom, I know how to work out now. I don't need to continue to go to the gym. It's every
Yeah.
day, bro. It's every day. I work every day. I do these things every single day, and then I continue to learn shit so that I can continue to develop myself, so I can continue to improve my life. That's how it works. You can't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point, and that's something that I learned from my dad from a young age. My dad, he's very hip to all the new trends, everything going on. He's in crypto. He's Instagram, TikTok. He's on it no matter what it is, and that's something that I learned from a young age. That, yeah, you can't get complacent, because that's when as soon as you stop learning or you stop putting in the effort for something, someone's coming up right on your tail and overpassing you. So As soon as you let off the gas, someone's coming in on the gas and they're going to take your spot, no matter what it is. So yeah, that's a good point because a lot of people, like especially the people that peaked in high school, which is sad, but I don't understand how it's even possible to peak in high school because from what I've learned since then, which has been like 7 years now, is insane. Like more that this past 7 years since I graduated high school, I've learned triple the quadruple the amount that I've learned in high school. In high school, you're just a kid. You don't even know what's going on. You're just trying to go to a basketball game or trying to kiss some girls or something. But
Right.
that's like what high school is. So but yeah, once you get past that, there's so much to learn and there's so many mountains to climb that you can't get complacent.
Yeah, and learning is just the desire to learn, right? It's not that people are incapable of learning. It's not that people are just stupid, which I've thought before. I've had deep uh, I've had deep thought about this issue because when I see people who don't grow or haven't had success and they say they want it, like these are people who are saying they want to grow and want to have success and would like to have money, but they don't. I've had these conversations with myself. Are people just genuinely stupid? Are they just dumb? Do they not know how to teach themselves how to do things, how to work hard, etc.? And I understand it's not, I've come to the conclusion they're not stupid, right? They're not actually stupid, but the desire is not there because humans are inherently lazy. That's the reality, right?
Hmm.
The only difference between you and me and other people who want to have success or continue to improve themselves is that we just have the desire to educate ourselves. That's why I'm still such good friends with you, Bobby, and admire you and do business with you because you actually have the desire to continue to educate yourself on things. You've learned many different industries, many different hustles since we've known each other in college because your desire to learn. Like being intelligent, being smart, a lot of that is tied to just the desire to seek information. Like I seek information. If I want to know how to do crypto, I go all in and I study crypto and I study charts and I study TA and I study the different types of investment strategies, profit taking strategies, all these different things for the past year, 2 years, 3 years. And then people are like, oh, wow, you know so much about crypto. Well, no, I just made a decision. I'm going to seek the information. Let me become competent at this because there's a way to make money here. So then let me be more competitive than everybody else. That's what I went ahead and did. I just had more desire. The same information's accessible to everybody else. They just don't seek it.
Hmm. Sure. Yeah, and it really comes down to time plus effort equals success. That's like the equation a lot of people have to realize is that you look at some people who are successful and people think it's like an overnight success. It could be maybe even I don't know, you could take anyone, but like especially athletes, like professional athletes, they start working when they're kids. Like they're kids and they work and work and work and they eventually go to college, get better, and then they're in the pros and then they're like, oh, look at this guy, he's a professional athlete making 20 million. Well, no, that kid was probably working very hard as a young kid, whether that's business, people put in years. Jeff Bezos worked on Amazon for like 4 years before he ever took a dollar from it, and that's what people got to understand is that it's compounding your time and compounding your effort is what's going to give you success in the long run. A lot of people do things for a couple months and don't see any success from it or don't see any money from it. And they're just like, I give up. But you never know. The next month, you could have had your breakout month. Everything comes, it's like, it's here, and then it's boom, pops up. That's just what the trajectory is for a lot of people and businesses. And no matter what you do, content, we're really diving into our content era, especially publishing this podcast. And all it takes is one video. You got to look at these people that are out here that probably made content for years, never had any success, and then they made that one video that gave them a million followers. So that's my philosophy: is just keep putting them out there, and eventually one's going to stick. That's going to resonate with a lot of people, and then that's where you get a good chunk of followers, and that's where you get you could start seeing some ad revenue even. So that's just it, and you hit it. It's just compounding your time and your effort, and eventually you'll see success no matter what you do. If you're learning, if you're building, it's out there. You just got to be consistent.
That's a special word is the consistency, right? That's the secret that everybody, they think there's this secret formula, this secret thing that you can do. Hey man, what are you doing? What are you saying to people? How are you doing that? if you think there's a secret, that's your first problem. There is no secret. The reality is just that you don't want to come to terms with the fact that you're going to have to work hard consistently over a long period of time before you ever see any kind of result. That's how life works. And that's one of the most, it's funny because we say the word consistency, but that's one of the most consistent things about life I've found, is that consistency is the only option. It's the only right answer for everything, right?
Yep.
Most people, like you said, they don't just start this career on podcasting and then overnight they're the Joe Rogan experience. No, Joe Rogan was doing his podcast for free, for fun, for years before it became what it was. Consistency over time, right? And it's the same thing with what we're doing right now. It's, you're consistent with your business. You build yourself up over multiple years. You're consistent with making money. You're consistent with building relationships. You're consistent with networking. And then eventually, yeah, maybe you didn't have that person that was a multi-million-dollar network, person that you added to your network after the first year, 2 years, 3 years. But that one person, just because you've been networking for the past 3 years, introduces you to that one person. The next thing you know, it just takes your career to the next level. But if you're not doing that for 3 years straight, connecting with all these different people to eventually get you down the tree to meet that person, you're going to miss out on that. So you can't quit after just a couple of days, a couple of months, and be like, it didn't fucking work. And one other thing I'm going to say with the podcasting too, I don't know if it was you who told me the statistic, but I remember hearing this, that 90, don't quote me on the statistic, but 99% of podcasts don't ever make it past episode 5 or 3.
Yeah, I think it's like 13. 99% of them make it past podcast episode 13. So if you make 13 podcast episodes, you're in the 1% of podcasters.
Yep. So it wasn't even that your podcast wasn't fantastic. This is what people don't understand too. It's not even that you can't do things. It's that you simply just didn't give yourself the opportunity to let this thing play out into a place where you can actually make it what you want it to be. You could have had the best podcast ever, but only done 5 episodes. Nobody ever saw it. Nobody ever knew you existed, but could have been the most fantastic episode, the smartest, most intellectual conversation, funniest, most interesting podcast ever made. But if nobody ever sees it, it's like, okay, nobody knows.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true for a lot of things that we watch, probably podcasts. It's not every podcast is groundbreaking or internet changing unless you're Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I mean, that's a totally different stratosphere. But like, yeah, most people, every top podcast on the charts is just normal people having conversations like we are right now. Joe Rogan, he interviews comedians and other people and just asks them about his philosophy is just, I want to get to know you. And that has what has given him so much fame and money, is just he just wants to get to know people on camera, and he talks to them just like we're talking and asks questions about their life, and people find their lives interesting. I actually was watching Joe Rogan and the Adam Sandler episode, which was a pretty good one. I love Adam Sandler, so that was a good one to see. And yeah, that's really all it is. And people like seeing that connection between people. I think people like, getting to know people that they see maybe on the movie big screen like Adam Sandler, but getting a little deeper dive into what his life is like. People actually find that stuff interesting.
Right.
It's not always like you see a lot of people now, they have to be like the craziest on camera and like pranking people, trying to get views and stuff. But that's honestly, if you look at the top producers and content, they don't do any of that stuff. They're just pretty down to earth, and they talk and they could have a conversation.
Right. It's the real shit that does well. That's why the podcasts that you were saying with Joe Rogan do so well, is because he's having the conversation with that person that you would want to have with that person. That's why it's interesting, right? It's not fabricated. It's not fake. It's him sitting down saying, this is an interesting intellectual person. I'm going to ask some good questions that everybody else would want to ask, and we're going to get the answer together. It's like you're in the living room, you're in the conversation with them. That's why it does so well. And you're right about people doing this goofy shit on camera just to get views and those sorts of things. That's also why those people, if you really think about it, at least for me, I don't respect them and what they do. And that's why eventually they always all flame out. Because you can only be foolishly entertaining for so long without actually providing any value to people. Because what people want in today's world, this is a shift that you're seeing in the way that the culture is moving and the way that content is being made, is that people are in positions now where they don't have time to just fucking laugh all day and be entertained because there's real problems in the world like the hyperinflation that we're starting to have in the US, like the people like the fact that people can't escape the matrix, yeah, like the fact that people can't have the wife and the family and the kids that they want. People can't even afford to have one kid, two kids anymore to sustain the fucking
Yeah.
population. These insane problems that we're starting to have. People are waking up to this and now they're not just satisfied with sitting there and just looking at some clown on a screen do some goofy shit because it doesn't provide any real
Yeah.
value to them, right? What people want now is men, at least young men want men who are going to mentor them and show them a better way to live their life so that they actually feel prouder on a day-to-day basis. That's what they're looking for. This is why we're having this identity crisis in the US, excuse me, especially for young men, is because they're being told one thing on how to act, and they do that what society's telling them to do, and then they feel like shit, and they don't feel fulfilled, and they don't feel like their life is going anywhere, and they're thinking to themselves, well, this is what I'm being told to do, but it's making me feel like shit in the grand scheme of things. Well, what's going on? And then they start hearing from guys like the Tate brothers, like other masculine men who are starting to project this uh, new mentality, not new mentality in the sense that it's new from a time perspective. I mean new in terms of what they're pushing in society right now. Men are starting to gravitate towards that, and then they realize, hold on a second, I like living life like this a lot better, and that's why they're gravitating to that content so much. They're done laughing at stupid shit. They want to actually live a fulfilling life, which most people I feel like should and want to do.
Yeah, and that's a good point because we do have a couple young hustlers in the Taylor's Code that we work with almost daily, and I don't think I've ever seen or heard them ever even give that stuff any attention. I don't know if you have. I don't think I have, honestly. I don't think they've ever given that kind of I don't even think they bring it up like even like the famous streamers. Like I don't know if they watch it, but I've never heard that come up in any conversation or a post or anything. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a shift amongst the youth of going away with that stupid silly shit and, really idolizing people who are going to make them a better man and who they want to be one day. I'm trying to think back to when we were in school and what was like popular, but I think it was just like when the TikTok phase first started and started booming, and everyone was just trying to jump on board with that. We didn't really understand it. Luckily, we didn't. I feel like our generation isn't too much of a social media babies. I feel like we're like the in betweeners, like this Gen X. They're like huge into it, and then like our parents, like even generation, I feel like is really big into it for some reason. Like my parents' generation is like huge on it. Like every Facebook, Instagram, like they're all over it. So I feel like our generation kind of falls in the middle there where we could kind of say like, okay, maybe this isn't the best route for people to be learning. I think social media is powerful in terms of good learning education, but there's also a lot of garbage out there that you could just get distracted from. It could take away from your, like we say, consistency and focus on what you have to do day to day.
Yeah, and I mean, a good friend of ours has even talked about the fact that social media is used by other countries as a way to be able to inflict mental warfare on the
Mm-hmm.
population in the United States, which makes sense. Why? Well, just think about it for 2 seconds. If you can put a TikTok screen or put a TikTok app on kids' phones and have them literally watch all day, girls dancing and shaking their ass on TikTok and watching
Yeah.
stupid goofy videos for quite literally 6, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, right? Think about it, especially
Mm-hmm.
during the summertime when kids are out of school. Let's call it 8 hours a day on their phone, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then you multiply that by 20 million children, 30 million children, 50 million children. Think about how many man hours are getting wasted and pissed down the drain that could be used towards developing new things, education, making money, improving the economy, improving the state of the United States. I mean, because
Yep.
really think about that. Think about 8 hours a day, man hours, multiplied by 50 million people. Let's just call it 50 million. How much work could have been accomplished in that same time if it wasn't used on TikTok? That's not a
Even
small
young
thing.
kids, even young kids, even though they're not going to go out and build the next Apple or Amazon, like young kids, like our founding fathers were only like 18 to 20 years old when they built the United States. So like teenagers are very capable of a lot of things. But I think, yeah, I think that's a good point, that they just waste their time doing stupid things. Like every, even if you're a teenager wasting time, at least like our wasting time back in the day was like going to meet our friends out at the donut shop and like going to hang out in person. Now it's just they're just wasting their time on their phone screen staring at it.
Right.
At least back in the day, people could have that connection and talk to people and converse ideas. But now it's just like there's none of that, I feel like. And the people that are out there, like we said, are doing bad things, creating bad content that's just like brain rot.
Brain rot. Yeah, exactly. Brain rot. I've seen some Instagram. I can't lie. I've seen some videos that have made me laugh my ass off. That
Some of them
are
are funny, some of them are so funny.
I saw. I gotta send this one to you. I don't think I sent it to you. It's a Breaking Bad spoof where they AI generated new text and new dialogue for the scenes in Breaking Bad, and it's like one of those brain rot videos where they're talking about level 5 Giats and being Rizzlers and shit like that. Dude, I'm gonna send it to you. It is ridiculous. But the problem is people are
One of my
spending.
favorite ones.
What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say one of my favorite brain rot videos. Just to touch on it. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's like it starts off with like usually it's like a girl, like a liberal girl, yelling about something. Could be about abortion or whatever it is, and then it cuts quick to this dog with a snapback on, and he's got Jordans on and a chain, and it's a song by the game. It's called AI with the braids, and it's so funny. It's like I'm AI with the braids, and it's a dog like with all dripped out. It's just so funny.
I mean, yeah.
Just cuts him
Listen,
off.
it's funny. It is funny. I get it. I get why people get sucked into it. But yeah, it's a lie. You're lying to yourself. You're telling yourself you don't have time to do the things that you want to do, and that's the point, right? Like that's a part of being a man and being a gentleman is being honest with yourself and saying, stop making excuses. Oh, I don't have time to make money. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do this, that, and the third. Listen, you do have time. If you just look at your screen time on your phone, I'll show you where all your time's at. That's where it's at. Okay? So are you on your phone working, doing things to make money, calling people, texting people, networking, posting content? Or are you a consumer, a buyer, and you're consuming everybody else's content, buying everybody else's products, and keeping yourself broke and poor? It's the difference. Me and Bobby are producers. We'll produce the content. We'll produce the product, the service. We'll make the money. We'll sell it. We're sellers. That's why we make money, right? So you got to decide which part of the equation you're going to be on. I think I lost Bobby. Bobby. The first stream was going so well. Let's see. Alrighty. First podcast, and we already have a Matrix attack. I'm going to take that as a positive. So it means we're already making waves on the YouTube space. I can't believe it. 91 subscribers. We have 2 live viewers, and we already got a Matrix attack. I'm going to take that as a compliment, YouTube. All right, well, I guess the stream is ending.